Welcome to episode 3 of the Road to Respair podcast. On today's episode, I've got my good friend Camille McMillan, photographer, artist, and organiser, founder of Further, ultra-distance cycling event. Camille and I go back a number of years. Initially, I was a fanboy through his work with Rouleur, and eventually we ended up working on a few trips, doing a few shoots, having a few drinks together. So let's dive into the podcast. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Road to Respair podcast. Camille McMillan, founder of Further, father of Further, photographer, and probably lots of other things that begin with F as well. So I thought it's great to have you on. So thanks for coming on for a start. It's been a little while since we last spoke. It would have been when you came to London and did a panel talk. I think you had India and Neil Phillips panel, and I sat there on the side really awkwardly in front of a room full of people and really struggled.
Well, you held it together really well. I always struggle with those things. I'm getting better at them. But,
So I can't quite pinpoint where we first met. It was obviously in France, in the Pyrenees, in the Ariège.
Yeah.
And I'd been a bit of a fanboy for quite some time. And I think, where would I first come across your photography? Would it have been like some of the little Rafa brochures that you got through, or Rouleur and things like that?
Probably Rouleur. I was thinking about that. I've been sorting out my studio that I've just moved into, so going through lots of stuff. And yeah, that Rouleur stuff is nearly 20 years old. Some of the early stuff.
Yeah. So like pre-Instagram.
Oh well, yeah. I remember being there and Guy Andrews saying, "Look what I've got," and it was like an iPhone. He was like, "This thing's amazing," and I was like, "I don't know if I want one."
Throw it away. It's the end of the world.
And I've been thinking that for the last 20 years. Please bin it. I want to bin it. Can't.
So I think I must have seen stuff in Rouleur, and back in I'm thinking it was around 20 when I first, maybe slightly earlier, when I first kind of came across like Rafa and those kind of black and white, grainy, cool. At the time, that was aspirational cycling for me.
Right.
And I think that's where we started coming away from the fluoro, Euro, millions of sponsors on jersey stuff, to all of a sudden the cycling started becoming a bit cool. And I think that's probably where I started first seeing your style of photography. And it really, really drew me in.
Good.
And then come sort of Rouleur started getting popular. And again, there was a real sort of shift in the aesthetic of cycling, I guess. And we were seeing, instead of just seeing the peloton going through sunflower fields.
More grit.
Yeah, it was really like, and it was like, shit, this is really, really cool.
Yeah.
That then coincided with me doing more traveling, guiding, and instead of just seeing these places in magazines and I suppose social media started, I started seeing these places for real. And then come 2016, 2017, I think we met in 2017.
Yeah, probably around then. Yeah, as well before the COVID thing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you first move to the Ariège?
I moved here 11 years ago. What's that? 11, 12 years ago. 13 I moved here.
And where are you now?
I'm in a place called Le Caban, which is, do you know it? It's a valley road that goes from Tarascon, that goes to Aix-les-Thermes, then on to Andorre or Spain.
Off Col de Port?
Well, Col de Port you can see, it's sort of, it's not far. Yeah, it's near Col de Port. It's in the depths of the Pyrenees. It's nice.
It's not. So I still have memories of, I guess, beaching my car on your driveway in that house on the hill.
Yeah.
Stuck.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. I wasn't fine.
It wasn't fine. Yeah. That hill was something else. Yeah, it was very steep. I think I always surprise people when they come to the Pyrenees. It's sort of like it's not like the Alps that are sculpted for cars so much. So the climbs can be really steep because they're basically just tarmac to donkey.
What made you decide on the Pyrenees rather than anywhere else?
Oh well, it was when I'd been sort of like following the tour on my own motorbike, so not with Rouleur. I just sort of was freelancing after the Rouleur time, and I was in Aix-les-Thermes, and it was a finish of one stage, and it's all a bit axitherm and sort of like that's too many people. And I sort of got my bike and left as I was going down the mountain. Presidential guard on their motos, they got the white helmet ones, the special ones. They're the presidential guard, and they came past and they're escorting the yellow jersey to the hotel, which was down in Axterturn, I think. Anyway, I carried on, and then I was on the main road, which was just chock a block. And then the gendarme came along, and they were like in a squadron, like on each other's wheels. And then they just went like that, like get on. So I got on the back and had this white knuckle ride because they just fucking hammer. So I'm like,
I've been in a couple of those convoys.
And they're sort of like getting the cars out of the road. And this is just so they can go and get their pizza or whatever they're after. And got to the place called Foire and got on the péage. And I was just like, fuck this. This is too. They were just like literally on each other's wheels, like you would ride in a chain gang. So I just peeled off, was like, fuck that. And I was camping on that trip. And then I just sort of went into the just road and got lost, and then found a place that, there was a sign saying, you can camp there for €5. And slept there, and then woke up in the morning, and it was just this amazing place. And I just sort of went round looking at it. I was like, this is fucking amazing. And all of France, so I've traveled France a lot, and I've always liked the idea of France and moving here. And this place was just sort of like, it was like a stitch in time. It's like, I don't know, there's people living in vans, but there's also rich, it's just a diverse thing. And then like about a year later, I got this contract to follow a pro Conti team for a year. And it was a really good contract and a lot of money. And for a year, and it was like, I was sick to death of living in Hazelmere in Surrey,
I get that.
You get that? It's hard. And so, yeah, it's like, fuck it, move to France for a year, see what it's like.
And which team were you following?
Well, they were called Baku.
Okay.
I had sleepless nights about the sort of moral sport washing of Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
In the same way that people must have moral crises about sport washing Israel.
Now,
nothing more political than sport, right?
No, I had interesting conversations with one of the founders of Astana.
Right, yeah.
And interesting, but let's leave it there.
Yeah, it's a big subject. Yeah.
So
that's how I got. I mean, it's not an easy.
So I remember looking at the way that I guess it felt like cycling photography changed from the cheesy tourist brochure to like almost art.
Yeah.
And it was very, very different.
Yeah.
I guess, there's a lot that you've got to be credited for that change. And it is, you're looking back, where are we now? I mean, from my memory, 15 years that I can remember where that shift happened. And your photography, and I've seen other people since, there's some really cool stuff out there still, but cycling photography was like, not just like commercial for whatever brand or tourist for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a period of time when Rafa had just come along. When I first was knocking around there with Rouleur, I think they had like 2 jerseys and might not even have had a pair of shorts. It was sort of like literally like
it was probably like a club jersey, and you got some free arm warmers in a really nice box with a little cool magazine.
Yeah. So and I think it was sort of like they being sort of like Simon Mottram and Luke Scheibler and Guy Andrews of Rouleur, they knew that we wanted to change. They had their finger on the pulse, and I just happened to be an artist that was working with cycling as my focus. So when I met Guy, it was like, this makes sense. In fact, when I saw the first copy of Rouleur, because I wasn't part of that, and I was like, fucking wankers, they fucking. I could have done that, and then I went. At that time, I was like in my old man's bike club, and this real crap little South London club, but they put this older man's road race on, and I was doing some marshalling on the corner, and this guy, the peloton came through, or the bunch. Let's be English about this. The bunch.
Yeah.
The bunch came through. And then this guy came through, literally this guy, and he'd punch it and he climbed off his bike and he threw it in a hedge. And me and the old man, oh, fucking wanker. And all the other old duffers are like, oh, and he, got all the kit on. And then I saw this guy again and I was like, that's Guy Andrews. That's the wanker that does that rouleur. So I sent him an email and said, unless you publish my work, I'm going to tell everyone that you threw your bike in.
So you went from kind of like rouleur, and then there's a few books.
Yeah.
So Le Métier, my favourite, still got it.
All right.
Yeah. So this for me, this stuff is what kind of motivates my cycling travel, I guess.
Oh, good.
So when I read stuff like this, or I look at what comes out of these ultra distance events and the views that people get to see, because they're just in the arse end of nowhere.
Can be, yeah.
And it's, places you're not going to see on a tourist route, and you're probably not even going to see by car. And you look at stuff, you're like, wow, I want to go there. Your photography and now your event.
Yeah.
When you watch what people are doing, where they're going, how they get there. I guess that's what I don't get the chance to get away as much as I used to. But at least twice a year, it's just load my bike off and fuck off.
Yeah.
And if I can find the top of a mountain where you get this, I've probably wasted. Actually, no, wasted is definitely the wrong word. I've probably sat at the top of a climb. I'd love to know the hours that I've spent just sat there soaking it up, gazing,
sticking stickers on it.
Stickers, yeah.
I'm surprised there's not a book on stickers of coal stickers. You look at all of these and you get such an array. And generally, they've got yours or stickers on there, but it's sort of, there could be a whole book on coal stickers.
I'm always really conscious of not covering someone else's up. I think that's I guess it's like graffiti taggers who, you see this really nice street art and some prick of a tagger comes along, put some bollocks on it.
Yeah.
And I feel the same with stickers, that someone's earned their space on that sign, so I shouldn't be covering it up. But every now and then you get lucky, and I guess the local authority come along, scrape them all off, and you're like, oh, I'll just go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But I think lots of people get different stuff. I think this is what I'm trying to get at with the podcast, I guess. Trying to find out what people get out of what they do, and speaking to, it could be a crit racer, it could be someone who just rides their bike in Richmond Park, it could be some ultra distance lunatic. It's like, why? What do you get out? I know what I get out of my cycling, and I don't care about how many kilometers I've ridden or how much data there is or any of that bollocks.
Oh god.
I just want to know that at least a couple of times a year I've just had that wow moment at the top of a climb, or I've been absolutely broken, or I've got memories of places. I can remember being at the top of the Col de Port and not being able to move because of all the cattle. And I'd ridden 6 cols that day. It was the last one. You come off Col de Port. I think there's a little campsite. So you go through it's not a town. I can't remember what it is. Probably. Yeah, that sounds familiar. And Tarascon's at the bottom, isn't it?
There's Massa, Col de Port, Tarascon.
So it would have been on the way to Tarascon. And I think it's a campsite on the left-hand side. I think it was one of the biggest days I've ever ridden.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely just a ghost. But I stopped in that I had 2 pizzas in the campsite, stayed in a shady hotel in Tarascon, and then rode on the next day.
So I'm going to ruin the podcast now. It's all right. It's all right, Hunter. Are you off out? All right. See you later. Sorry.
That's hardly ruined. How old's Hunter now?
18.
You're joking.
You should see the size of it. He's bigger than me.
So he would have been like, oh God, 11 or something, or 10.
Yeah, I know.
When I last saw him.
I know.
Kids, eh?
Fast, isn't it?
I mean, mine are 21 and 15. Anyway.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So let's just continue with that on that thing. I was in the office yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my phone, and I had my sort of glasses down like this as I was looking at my phone. Someone comes up to me and goes, God, you look like some fucking 50-year-old dude who, you look old. And I was like, well, I am old. 50.
Yes, all the cliches about how quickly time moves on. In fact, I've got to this point. My Pa, the photographer, died recently, few days, a
Yeah.
week ago. I've never really been a fan of his work, but at the same time, it was sad. He's sort of like a marker. In fact, when I was at art school, it was sort of like an insult if something was their work a bit Martin Parr. It's under par, Anyway, but it really was like I found myself thinking about time and how quickly it's all sort of rocketing along. Like we're talking about early Rafa days. I mean, that's 20 years ago. And it's just sort of like, sitting here in my 50s, and it's like, well, 20 years time. Anyway, sort of real. So I've just been like ripping through my archive and just being really strong and throwing stuff away that I'm, my images. It's like, no, I'm not going to go down that avenue. I don't. And sort of, it's giving me it's giving me a bit of focus. Like an uncle of mine died, and he's a hoarder. He was a hoarder, so he's sort of like his house was just packed full of newspaper cuttings and and artwork and all sorts of bollocks. Obviously, he had a sort of idea, but he never fucking got to the point of realizing the thing, whatever it was. And I got this sort of idea that it's sort of like he got sort of like so many grand ideas that he never got on to do one. So that sort of like him and thinking about Parr, and I was just like, I've got to keep like distilling it to get to the point of whatever it is that I'm after, rather than going over there. So further is a way of is a hopper for me to do that. It's just sort of like keeping or making the focus better, which is
so that's a really nice prompt for what I'm going to ask next, actually. So I reckon I would say you're probably the wrong way of putting it, but your photography was kind of a pushback or a change in style to what cycling photography was at the time, right? So instead of that like commercial sports, it was art. So it was a change, it was a pushback, it was something really, really good. So with Further, do you feel that that's similarly a bit of a pushback against, quite a
kick against
commercial, sterile
I'm
bike racing?
I'm adverse to the marketing people are going to want to always refine everything so they can flog it. So they're gonna refine.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah, I know, but but that's just what it is, So the refined thing that's the gravel segment, that's the mountain bike segment, and a similar sort of thing is going on with bike packing. It's still a new sport, but it's people are trying to define it and refine it, so it is this packageable lump, whether it be the cap numbers and all this sort of language that's around it. That's sort of like whereas I'm like, well, hang on, let's not define it too much.
Yeah.
Let's try and play with it more rather than it becoming sterile. So it's like cyclocross. When I was a kid, what I loved about cyclocross was like, it was like a loop. It's like a 2-mile loop with a river and a donkey carcass that you had to climb over or something. But it has a freedom to it. But then as soon as it sort of became more and more like, oh, this could become an Olympic sport. Oh, we need lots of, and then it's sort of like, then bits of plastic tape go everywhere. And then it's sort of, I get it. I get why people want to do that. It's within a sort of like, if you're racing, you're within a defined box, and then it's easy to, but at the same time, fuck me, it gets star ups.
Yeah. So there's always like I guess you're always like pushing back on something.
I've got a problem with authority figures. Yes. I just like experiment and I like play. And
things have got to be fun, right?
It's got to be fun.
Like, at the heart of everything, it's got to be fun. If you're not enjoying like riding a bike, what's the point?
Well, I've got an interesting. Well, this is actually leads me on to something the amount of time it takes to ride a bike, to ride at a point where you feel comfortable. So for me to feel like pleasure in riding a bike, particularly living in the mountains, I have to ride the bike a lot. And it's kind of like, have I got time to ride the bike when I need to be spending more time with my artwork? Do I make riding the bike become the artwork, which I tried in my 30s, but ended up not being art? It kind of become instead of stopping to take a picture, I press on and think, oh, that's nice, because pressing on was the thing, rather than. So I'm at this point where I'm like, I've got e-bikes, and I really like those e-bikes. It's like being fit, basically. But it also means I don't have to spend that amount of time to keep fit and stay fit. And I feel like I'm at this point now where I'm like, as I say about time ticking on, is that I need to focus on the making of artwork. It's especially with having a mobile device. You got to spend at least 4 hours a day doing that. you can't have a mobile device, bicycles, and an art habit. Maybe you can.
I,
I'm constantly
there's
back.
something that draws people to cycling. I think I've got lots of friends who ride who they've also got they've always got multiple hobbies and interests,
Yeah.
and they're always like obsessive about, I don't know, it could be watches, cameras,
Oh yeah.
guns, all sorts of random shit. It's never just I just ride a bike.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain thing about people, and fuck knows what it is,
Well,
but
the whole thing, isn't it? It's about I have a particular friend, and he had a bike shop, and he particularly liked vintage bikes. He's never ridden more than 10 miles in his life, but he's got hundreds of
yeah,
bikes, and just obsessed with them. Just like I still will look at a bike sat against the wall for a stupid amount of time, and I can't really tell you why, because aesthetically they somehow are not all obviously, but aesthetically, it's like your if. You still got your if?
yeah, absolutely. That's going nowhere.
That's going nowhere. But that's a bike. That sat against the wall. I can look at that for quite a long time.
Yeah, me too.
Most people would be like, "You've been looking at that too much for years." It's just
You awake?
something. There's something.
Granddad.
The aesthetic of it and the balance of them, how they look. Some look like fucking shit, though. Obviously, a lot of bikes I would think are sort of like a bit like. Why Rafa happened. I think we're at a similar sort of junction actually. So when I'm out on my bike, on my e-bike, and then you go across the coal, and then you see like a load of English riders, because they're English riders, because they're going too fast for the mountain, because they're like, hey, let's go. It's like, you twats.
Lads.
You twats. There's going to be a car coming the other way, and they're going to be drunk. It's after lunch, and they're sort of like,
the driver, not the cyclist.
Oh, the driver will be, yeah, and the aesthetic is sort of like, this is why you should edit me out. But the aesthetic is sort of like, it is so bland and boring. Like I sort of like think about what are those pig brain sausages, Savoloys.
Yeah.
Savoloys. Everyone looks like a Savaloy. Lycra top, Lycra bottom. There's no merino again. It's back to no merino. It's anyway.
So
I shouldn't moan about the aesthetics of cycling.
I sort of miss. There's a part of me that really misses working in like Ponzi bike shops, and I think in the 20 odd years of working in bike shops, when you'd get a customer come in and they were after something custom, and I don't mean like they want an S-Works tarmac with clavicular cranks or E brakes or something like. They want something truly custom, whether it's if 7 Pegoretti, whatever it is. And I've got so many bikes in my catalogue of things that I've put together for people, and I'm like, you might have paid for that bike, but it is mine. I designed it. I chose every component on your bike, and you paid for it. And there are things out there, and I still look at them, and that was special. And every now and then you get customers come in who've really done their research, and I had one a couple of years ago who went to Japan and he bought a couple of carabins. No one's got a fucking clue who carabin are, but they make the most beautiful bikes. And it's like, if I won the lottery, that's my next bike, and it would be rim brake, it would be mechanical, and there's just something. I'd probably never ride it. That's how my indie fab rarely goes out now. It only goes out on perfect days, and I get back from those rides and I'm like, oh, that bike's 15 years old now. Is it 15 years old? Probably not far off. And I've refreshed the paint on it once. It's probably gone through fuck knows how many sets of wheels and group sets. Every time I get on it, I'm like, this feels good. And I've got other bikes that are obviously faster and stiffer and blah 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 blah. I don't get the same buzz out of them that I do. Right. And every now and then there's a group of friends I got. One's on a Stelbel, one's on a Pegoretti, another one's on some shonky old Condor. Every now and then riding around Regent's Park, and everyone's zooming around in their fancy kit on their fast bikes, and I'm just like plodding along. I feel fucking great.
It's good. I like that. I like that sort of like old school Italian thing where they sort of like.
So, but yeah, that
on a camping ride, literally 5 miles on their sort of bling.
Yeah, that's my life goal, is to be that dude. just sat there having a fag and an espresso at a random cafe somewhere that's serving a rocket fuel espresso.
Lovely.
It probably doesn't taste very good, but I want to be that guy. And the amount of them that I've ridden past over the years, and I've just gone, I want to be you. Like that's if I can live that life in the next 10 years, those rides, like you say, they can be. It doesn't matter. Could just be going down the road for a coffee.
So
that's my goal.
So what makes it difficult to get to that? Why can't you just sort of do that, or do you still feel the need that you need to sort of do the big miles and get?
No, not at all. I really, if in however many years' time, e-bikes allow me to do the trips that I'm doing and have been doing, like sign me up. So long as I get to experience those feelings of, and not the sense of accomplishment of going up, I don't know, Stelvio, the bonnet or something like that. It's more the experience for me is when I just get to the top and I sit there and you feel like you're on top of the fucking world. And I kind of feel lost.
Mm-hmm. What, physically lost, but mentally inside yourself, you're not lost.
Zen, whatever. But yeah, just I've had moments throughout the last God knows how many years where it might have been one climb, it might have been fucking 6 climbs, it could have been anything. But there are certain climbs where I've got to the top and just gone, wow, and sat there.
Yeah.
And, just looking around and there's motorbikes buzzing or sports cars or whatever, or it's been empty. Like I had one in May, I can't remember what the climb was, where I rode from my friends near, just at the foot of On 2. And I rode across to the bonnet. But another friend said to me, oh, you've got to do this route. Let's have a look, see if I can find it. Here we go. Col de Champs, Col de Coyal, Col d'Alos. And it was May. Everything was barriered. It was snowy. And I got to the top of the first climb. It was a bit of a brute. Got to the top of the first one. I rode it 2 days in a row. And I got this ping from Strava saying that I was the local legend. I'd only ridden it twice. And I get to the top of it, and there's just nothing and no one.
Lovely.
It's like, that's the best feeling in the world. And I think that is what I think my cycling is and riding bikes is for me. It's just having those moments where I couldn't tell you about the descent. I probably can't even tell you about the climb. But those moments where I've sat at the top and I've slapped a sticker on a sign or.
So do you think you would only have that because you'd pushed yourself physically to get to the top? Do you think you could still have that if you arrive by e-bike?
Yeah, because it's that I'm looking for. It's definitely but I like riding up mountains. I always have done. I thoroughly enjoy it. I push myself, but it's not about speed. It's never been about how fast can I go up something. It's been, I like that moment at the top. And I like climbs where, you might be forested or something and you go around a corner and all of a sudden it opens up and you just get the valley in front of you. It can be halfway up climbing. Those moments are what I'm looking for, and it's what sort of motivates me.
The going up is far more interesting than going down.
You get to see stuff.
We get to see stuff, and then going down, just descending is sort of, I find boring. Actually, mostly it's sort of.
I have to really concentrate now, and I think when I was guiding, I'd be riding mountains every day and hammering stuff, and have far more confidence than talent, and I got away with it a lot. And I rarely would have to think about descending. I would just go.
Yeah.
And we'd be on rim bakes with carbon wheels in the rain.
Lovely.
Didn't think there was like anything wrong with that. You couldn't stop at all. But when I go away now, because I'm only away for 2 weeks throughout a year, there's no way I'm going to take the risks that I used to, because chances are I'm on my own for a start, and I don't want to go off the side and get eaten by marmot, and I just don't have the confidence like I used to. It would take me a good 2-3 weeks to build up that confidence again. I've got responsibilities now. I've got jobs, family, blah, 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 blah. I get more out of the climb, but the real wow moments for me are at the top. And I think, like, going back to your photography, like your photography, it captures those moments. So I'll look through bunker research. And the only event that really floats my boat, I think, is probably, it's not even an event, but I really want to do the Torino-Nice
Oh yeah,
route.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like.
I think that for me will probably tick an awful lot of boxes. So, I'll probably load up at some point in hopefully August next year. And I think that's just to do the route.
Yeah,
I haven't really got the motivation or desire to do an event. I think I'm like, we've rambled now for quite a lot. It's been great. Back to now and
yeah,
further.
yeah,
So the people that sign up to your events,
yeah.
it's not a race, right? Do the riders that sign up for your event, do you think they're riding against each other, themselves, the event? What's making them tick?
There's a whole spectrum of reasons that people are doing it. Yeah, some people are obviously like they want to be the first and they want to be able to say that they won a further or won a few furthers. But some people are just there because they like it. So like more than half the people that do the furthers are people that return to the events. So there is a strong community. And like last year, I was in Scotland, and it was a day before everyone turned up, and a rider turned up early, and we ended up having dinner. Very nice, having this sort of venison stew at the station house in Corral. He described it perfectly. He said to me, "I'm a loner, and I'm very happy being a loner. And it's one of the reasons that I ride a bike is because I'm a
Yeah.
loner. But what I like about your events is when lots of loners come together, it's really great and you can't stop talking and discussing things. And it's this kind of like, and I kind of sort of like, wow, yeah, that kind of, I'm a loner really. And there are lots of loners that come together.
Yeah, I'd say I'm no different. The pleasure and headspace I get from riding my own, and that's everything from, whether I'm going on holiday or whether I'm just going out for a ride wherever. Um, I much prefer being on my own.
Yeah.
Don't have to think, don't have to talk, don't have to do anything.
Don't have to think.
Yeah, and when I do
Try not to think. Yeah.
when I do go away, I did a trip this year for the first time probably ever with friends, and it was a really weird experience for me because 10, 15 years as a guide, the customers are the only people I'm riding with.
Right.
They're
Oh,
paying me
you're a
to be
hooker.
there.
So
Didn't go that
I just
far.
like thinking that you got these people that are they're normally paying for your company, and then you're going out with doing it with friends. So it's sort of like
Yeah, like
you're then
it was kind of weird. There was a point during the trip with friends where I felt I was working, and I arranged the trip, so it's down to me to shepherd everyone around and give them routes and
right.
do this and do that. And there were a couple of days I picked up quite a niggly little injury from the bikepacking trip where I couldn't ride. I just needed to rest. Went out, tweaked my knee, and I was like, oh fuck this. So I took a day off, sent them all out,
Yeah.
sat in the house on my own. I was like, yeah, that's better. And then I was like, I'll go out the next day and just see how my knee is. Rode on my own, felt great, met them all for dinner, and then we rode on the final day. But I felt really weird being with friends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then like within weeks, I'm away on my own again.
But is that different to like when you're because I know don't you do laps of Regent's Park?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
But isn't that like a big community thing? Isn't that sort of like
Yeah, there is. There's lots of that, and I have dabbled with it. And there's lots of really nice people that I join from time to time. But it also crossovers into my current job where I have to organise rides for the brand and lead rides and things like that. And there's this sort of murky grey area between people that I see regularly through work, who I'm really familiar with and friends, and then this is still work. So
yeah.
so I actually try and avoid it now, and I won't ride in groups for pleasure because I associate that with work.
I see. Right.
Which is a bit weird. So back to further.
Yes.
I guess like the season's over, right? You've just had Scotland.
You just had yeah.
You're adding Lake District next year?
No, well, no, I was toying with it. Friends come up with a route. So I went there to sort of check out the route and take photographs of it. In fact, this is a sort of a new way of thinking about how I do further is sort of go to and ask friends or people that are involved with further, or they come to me and say, look, I live here and I know this area well, and they want to share that route via further, and then I go there and then check out the route, see that it is a further route, but spend my time taking
what would qualify something? What would make something a further route?
beauty.
What's
It's got to be beauty. It's not about putting in a climb just because it's hard. It's more about sort of like it's a journey that gives, that is thought.
So this is the thread that runs through everything you do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything it has. I mean, I'm looking for beauty in sort of everything, but obviously not always finding it. But the Lake District. So I went up there, and then it was just fucking pissing it down the whole time, and I was sleeping in a van sort of thing. So I was like, the weather was better in Scotland, and it's this very small place, British Isles. It's really small. So a couple of hours I was in Scotland, and the light was better and wasn't great, but I spent like 3 weeks traveling the further route. So looking at the route, photographing the route, but also photographing views from the route or from another vantage point of the route. So using the route as the thread for all the photography. So my photography, people that rode the event might be like, where the fuck was that? Because it was dark, because they had their head down on the route. But I'm just trying to explore. Basically, it's all a ruse just to allow me to go out taking pictures all the time.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
And my audience is cycling, which is sort of, and cyclists and people around bikes and outdoors. So,
and I guess that's the return for everyone that sees your work.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily be motivated to. I definitely wouldn't be motivated to do an event like that. But the photography makes me want to go there.
Right.
And like similarly, the experiences I get and the places I've been is like fucking wow. Like just
yeah. Something that I'm trying to do is like say it, and with further is this idea that back to this idea of the bicycle enables us to go everywhere and anywhere. I mean, they're huge liberators. So there's no reason why you can't carry your bike over a coal. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It enables things. So in the Pyrenees event, I've had people try and come along to photograph it. Some people have been very successful at it, but a lot of people have it's blown their mind because they're like, oh, I'm just going to catch up with them there. But I make the route so you can go from the refuge start to Andorra, and it takes a few hours of nasty hiker bike. But if you rode on the road, it would take you 6 hours to get to the same point. So I'm quite interested in sort of making shortcuts that people say, oh, that's a brutal few hours hiker bike, but it's actually a shortcut. Because if you went round, you're seeing the mountains in a different way. So if you're riding the road all the time, you get to the col and you think, yeah, I'm at the top. You ain't at the top. You look up and there's the mountains. You're on the lowest point of the mountains. So it's sort of like trying to sort of.
And is that? Do you think there's
the bike more?
The whole adventure, gravel, whatever you want to call it. Do you think that those moments where people get to experience stuff like that, even if it's, it may not be a massive brutal hiker bike, but it is a hiker bike, and you are going to see stuff that you're not going to see if you stay on that smooth road or trail?
Yeah, sure.
There's definitely been moments where I've ridden stuff, maybe when I was mountain biking. There's levels, I think. Like I love driving on the continent, but you don't really get to see or experience it. And then when you go on your road bike, you're like, I have the moments that I have and I love it. But then I've had other moments where I've been on a mountain bike or a gravel bike or whatever it is, or unpaved roads on the road bike. And you're like, you just wouldn't see this shit otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's the real kind of like, I don't know, you sort of, what is it that I feel that it's like, yeah, I've seen shit you haven't. I think like I really...
Well, I do. I often think that when I'm not a mountain climber. I go as far as scrambling, but as soon as ropes are involved. But then some people, they see the mountains as just like climbing. Their whole thing is about getting to the peaks. So there's all these different sorts of. Everyone's got the different idea of what mountains are. It's like I'm not really that keen on snow. In fact, I don't like it. And like people are like, but you live in the mountains, and it's like, that's like saying you like rain because you live in Manchester. I like the summers in mountains, and I like exploring and seeing the sort of the snow is something different. But for some people, that is the mountain. I would love to do a winter further to explore that as well. So it's sort of like what I'm trying to do in the mountains is just open it up a bit more. That it's not just road cycling, it's not just mountain biking, which is like got its different pigeonholes of things that you do within mountain biking.
And look, for the riders that come on further, there isn't a, it's just the wrong way of putting it, because it's not something I do, obviously, but there isn't a suitable bike. Like you can't, as a marketeer, I couldn't go, that's a further bike, because
everyone's got different ideas.
Okay.
And most people will say, like in the Pyrenees event, you need a hardtail, but then a new full sus came out that's really light, so then that's the one. But I don't know, because there's like loads of tarmac. Max Reese did it on a gravel bike this year and was, he wasn't that far behind. And it's just, it's just whatever bike, whatever bike works. Yeah, which makes it difficult for me to get a sponsorship of a bike brand, even though I have been. Although,
I saw Brompton on the website. I'm assuming that they're not that appropriate.
Well, Brompton's can sort me out with an e-bike, but for me that's perfect, because one is what we're talking about, just sort of like you can just ride to the cafe. I can carry my photography kit, and I can use it to. I can park it up. I can drive, and then I can use that, and then I can hike. It's not like because I do a lot of hiking to find these routes. It's not always on the bike and so using a sort of fold-up bike works well for me to like this bike. I haven't even ridden. I put that together like a year ago.
That's one that you painted yourself, right?
Yeah, and I do believe that would be ideal, even though because you can put big fat 650Bs in it and really light. But it's too much of a bike.
So again, there's that.
It's too much of a bike for me, actually. It's it's back to that. Like I'd need to be like riding my bike a couple of hours a day just to sort of like give it any sort of justice. And I'm not riding like that. I'm like, I'm going to go up to the Calder Port and explore around there. I'll use e-bike and then probably park it up and then
hike
and then maybe get someone else to ride it. But I do all of the routes I traverse in different ways, but never. It has to. I have to do that, otherwise it's just feels a bit rough.
So like everything that you seem to do, photography, events, bike behind you, everything is about art, beauty. That's like the top, and everything else just follows behind it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm an artist. I mean, it's just not obviously, I suppose, without sounding like a twat. My son said to me the other day, he said, I think I'm an artist, but I don't want to say it because it makes me sound like a wanker. I was like, yeah, it does make you sound like a wanker, but it's taken me like years to be able to sort of, there's too much loaded into an art, what the word art, what is an artist, and you're sort of like, all this grand stuff. It's just like your brain works differently to an engineer. It's just I'm just obsessive about certain things, which is creating things, making things. I just want to make
nice. Well, I think since we've rambled for about an hour, I'll probably start to wrap it up there. But I do think at some point I'm going to have to come back down and
come to the cabane,
do some bicycling.
Around your neck. You can get the sleeper train to the village from Paris. That's an idea. To use a fold-up bike. So.
Yeah, or just I have got the one. I definitely feel like the need to do something like ride down from home to the Pyrenees or Nice or somewhere like that.
Do you ever use the cycle routes, or is that an anathema to you?
No, I have. Yeah. Like the last trip I did, I used them loads, and they are pretty good. There were bits on. I think I rode from Nice to Ventoux, and certainly 30-40% of that was on the routes.
Yeah.
and it's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I need to have a think about what next year is going to hold. But Nice is probably the priority, and then
That's sweet.
if I get if I get another year like this year, so I had all of October off, and I've now got most of December off because the summer was brutal with work. If I get tucked up again like that, and the chance to take another month off, then who knows what I'll do and where I'll go.
Pyrenees in the autumn are amazing. The only drawback being the hunters.
Yeah, who are generally drunk, right? Like the drivers. Yeah, I'm not sure I fancy getting shot by a drunk.
No, it's annoying. It'd be annoying, wouldn't it? Yeah. But yeah, you can
Nice.
cycle. You can cycle. You can cycle. You just get the ferry across to like Cayenne or something, and then there's that route that goes down the Atlantic. So then you can see all the Atlantic bunkers down there, all along that coast. Anyway. And
That's
then
an idea.
So yeah, you can come all the way down on that route. I forget what it's called. And then you pick up at Bordeaux, and then you can go on the Midi. There's the canal, the Midi, that goes all the way across to Toulouse, and further than that. And you can get a train, old train line. It's pretty good. You can get
I think
to like Béziers and into the Frying Pan on old train lines, and it's really.
I think I've definitely done some of it. Like I rode Biarritz to Venice like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And there were loads of bits and pieces like that along the route. So
that Biarritz bit is quite lumpy.
Fucking yeah. Like I'd kind of like I'm still haunted by the first day of that trip. That was so hard. Like I kind of estimated about 20 days to do the trip.
Yeah.
And at the end of day one, I was like, oh, fuck this.
I fucked up a couple of years ago, big time with that. Sort of like, I had to be in Picos to Europe. Have you ridden in the Picos?
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to be in the Picos to Europe to do this thing with like about photography. And I got this cargo bike, this Omnium cargo bike, and I thought, oh, it's not that far. You know, I'd looked at the big map that's got all of the Pyrenees and the Picos on it. And I was like, oh, it's not that far. I gave myself a week or something. Fuck me. Once you get over the Pyrenees, easy peasy. I went over like, well, it's not. It's a bit, but it was pretty much. Then the other side, fuck me, just for days, and just sort of like in that Spanish sort of like nothing open land, no shops, just the occasional old lady all dressed in black walking around. Really strange, very thirsty, stormy on a car.
Yeah, I was. Those first few days were getting horrible, but I've got so many great memories that are always going to sit with me from that, and that's kind of why I like riding my bike.
Yeah. Now I do want to go for a long. I do love that. I love that sort of like the first, as you say, the first couple of days in your life, but then you get into the groove of it. Then you just sort of like just sleeping in a hedge somewhere, and just sort of like you just get into the groove, and then you just sort of like lose the days start melting, and then sort of like you get a sort of routine, a smelly routine of being in this sort of bubble. Fucking love that. But I mean, I really, really love that. But I do that.
I do feel like the older I get, the less opportunities I've got to do things like that.
Oh, you need to start making a bike event. Have a series of bike events, and then you get to spend half your life sleeping in ditches and going feral.
Yeah, no, I know a guy who does that. I've listened to him a few times, and just doesn't appeal.
That's what the logo. Now, someone said to me, I mustn't call it a logo. It's a brand. It's a logo. Right, I'm going to stick to the old school brand mark. But the brand mark is a board. And so yes, because that's what you do in a further event. You go into nature, turn into your spirit animal or smelly bikepacker.
Nice. All right, mate. I'm going to wrap up there.
All right. It says,
good luck with all your future endeavours.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to come to London. I think the last time I came to London was at that talk.
Yeah.
I was born there. I've spent decades. Anyway, I didn't recognise the place. Very strange. How you can sort of.
When are you back? When do you think you might come back?
Definitely after Christmas. Not going to London. Fucking hell. February, I think.
No. All right.
February.
We'll drop me a message.
Yeah, we'll go for a couple of pints.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Dolomites trip.
No.
But
yeah.
that was an experience.
I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I was fucking. I'm haunted by it. I keep
Same.
seeing these fucking weird men.
Worst trip I've ever done. The best company.
Worst trip I've ever been on.
Yeah. Those evenings sat in that hotel just drinking, borderline crying, bit cave in the background. I'll never forget it. Nice. All right, mate. Well, take care of yourself. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Yeah.
And I'll catch up with you, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's talk soon.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers. All right.